So I have some client work. This is a Bitterroot telly brought to me by the customer saying the jack is cutting out during his shows. So just gonna look inside. Haven't looked in it before. He says there is a lot of excess wiring just dangling around in here, and it might be pulling on some connection and making it cut out. So that's the battery. Can you see? Pretty much. There are a lot of spliced wires together, I think. There's some tape. What is that? Nothing. Like right here, there's some shrink tube, more shrink tube, more shrink tube, more shrink tube. So maybe one of these has just gone a little cold, not carrying much signal. Who's to say? Electronics are kind of weird. I don't see any broken connections or anything obvious. So, battery back on. By the way, I'm gonna plug this in and see if I can hear what he's telling me. So, I do see what he's talking about. You can hear it pretty obviously. The volume knob seems fine in the first impressions. The switch seems fine. I mean, there's no broken connections or anything. It's hard to get a good camera angle on it, but all of the solder joints look pretty clean. I mean, it's not a cheap guitar. I expect that they would be decently wired. So I think I need to take the jack out, poke around in there. Maybe something is touching the shielding paint, if there is any shielding paint. I don't know why there would be. Typically there isn't shielding paint in the little jack tunnel, I guess you call it. But and this cavity doesn't even look shielded unless they use some kind of white paint. But I'm gonna check it with the meter. There's no shielding or anything on there. Just some white paint overspray. The jack itself looks brand new. there's no corrosion or gunky solder causing a short or anything. And it looks like a decently made piece, you know, not like a super cheap off-brand jack, which shouldn't be in this guitar, really. Anyways, that looks fine. Obvious things first. I'm gonna try a different battery before ripping anything apart. Okay, new battery, never used, right out of the package. That might have been it, just a battery problem. Okay then, I'm gonna talk to the customer, see if this is a new battery he put in recently or he never changed it. I don't know. Okay, I just did a whole thing. I thought I was recording. That's funny. Anyways. These two wires, the white wires, the client pointed out to me that when he moves them around, it cuts in and out. He was testing it at home. So these seem like the root of the problem. Hopefully it's just these splice connections that aren't really super great, and not a problem with the pickup itself, because these are the pickup wires. So I want to look at these solder joints. Okay, here we go. Try not to slice my hand open. Yeah. Well, I mean, surface level impressions, they're fine. Yeah, I don't have anything to say about them. They're just fine. But I'm gonna plug it back in, wiggle these around a little bit, and see if that changes anything. It's the only thing I can think of right now. It's right here, in that little bend. If that bends too much, it cuts off. I think that's what the problem is, because I haven't found it anywhere else. So that being a pickup wire makes things kind of tricky. I can cut it down farther past this icky spot and splice a piece onto it. That would be the first choice. I don't know if the shutter speed is right, if you're getting like banding from the light. There's nothing I can really do about it. Anyways, it's this wire. I pulled some more out of it because it's all bound up together in one bundle, and you peel it apart, you know, you've seen those. So I peeled some more off. And the connection, I believe, is happening, I mean the break in the connection is happening right there when you bend it. I think it's just got some broken strands, and it's shorting or something. So cut a section out, strip it, rewire itself to itself. Hopefully that's it. If that's not it, new pickup. And if that's not it, I can't fix it. Well, my solder joint is stable, which is good. It's kind of messy, but it's fine. Mainly because it's hard to get down in there super cleanly, but it's functional. But can wiggle this all around, twist it, whatever. And it's not cutting out. So, seems like a success. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to that was weird. Going to test this little piece of the wire and see if it has continuity across it. So yeah, that time it worked. Of course, you know, it cut in and out, so it was losing contact somewhere. This is fine now, but I was poking around in here, seeing if I could find any other problems, and I did find one. You can't really see in the camera, it's down here in the shadow. On the one of the terminals of the pot, when I poke it, it just cuts in and out. I'll show you that. So that needs some fresh solder, I guess. Maybe in a different wire. We'll see. But when I put pressure on it, connection, then it cuts. So this wire is also causing problems. It's going to that lug on the switch. I don't know how much you can see. Yeah, right there, this one. And that is the only wire going to that terminal. That is a really gross connection. No wonder. So it's kind of strange pot style. You can't see it. My bad. But it's got a post sticking straight up. It doesn't have a little loop on the end, like where you put the wire through. It's just a straight post. So that's going to be fun. I should stop saying that. Too much sarcasm. What I'm going to try to do is just bend it over slightly and give it like a little hook without breaking it off. Yeah, I guess that's fine. So get this wire, kind of hook it around. Now this little problem, they've tied the wires around the post on the switch, all like in a knot. I want to clean it out, but whatever solder they use on here, some like industrial grade, whatever, it's hard to melt. At this point, I mean, everything is tied up together. On the switch lugs, and that's a three-way. I have a spare three-way. It would be faster just to put in a new switch and to do it all myself. So that's what I'm gonna do. Probably tomorrow. I was doing some troubleshooting and getting a really weak signal, and just now I noticed this wire from the jack came disconnected from the battery lead, and I'm gonna try and solder that back on. If that doesn't work, I'll just get a new lead. Fun times. So I could cut around all of this troubleshooting, but that wouldn't be completely honest. I could just show you the end product of it working and be like, yeah, it's amazing, nothing went wrong, but no. I'm gonna try and show as much as I can without making the video 2 hours long. So I took everything out and I'm gonna lay it all out together because the switching was getting confused the way I had it soldered in the guitar. The middle position on the switch was working at full power. The bridge position on the switch was also both pickups together on full power, and the neck position was a very weak signal on both pickups, which is weird. So this is why I have it all laid out, to put it back together piece by piece and work it out. And I just noticed before I hit record, this little wire on the switch is loose, so that could have been the problem already. We're about to find out if I can get it back in there. So I need to flux that and melt that back together.
I can't have it, you don't want it, I don't need it now, we're surrounded. Oh my God, I can't believe she's made it.
So before, these two were connected. the green from the jack and the black from the battery lead. They were soldered together, and I took them apart to get them out of the guitar. What I'm going to do now is put the black lead right on the jack and eliminate this extra connection.
I can't have it, you don't want it, I don't need it now, we're surrounded.
I forgot to hit record. I hit the wrong button or something. What you just missed, I disconnected the two white leads from the pickup wires to the switch, and now I'm going to use a new pot, a newer pot for the volume control, and it goes to on my right side, if it's oriented this way, to that lug right there. I'm using some pretty decent flux. It's, paste, as you can see. It's not a liquid, but I dip my screwdriver or something in it and just smear it on kind of wherever it needs to go. And it really helps melt the two together. Also, good quality solder. This is Kester something 6040, I think. Okay, we still recording? Yes. This black ground lead off the jack got melted from poking around in such a small cavity. I'm going to replace that, and this one looks okay. This one has some bare wire. So that's going to go, and that goes, if we match up with the old one, that goes to the back of the pot, because it's a ground like these. That'll all go together. And then the white one goes there in the middle. That's the hot, or the output signal, and then the other one goes to ground also. Pretty simple scheme, just with the addition of the battery lead to the jack and the pickups. When you're connecting two new pieces together, it really helps to tin the connection, which just means to add a little bit of solder to it. That one's got old solder on it, don't need to tin it again. So then the solder on each piece blends together instead of trying to match up two bare pieces of metal and then glue on solder on top of it. And I can't talk with my respirator on because this stuff is disgusting for you.
I can't believe she's faded. I can't have it, you don't want it, I don't need it now, we're surrounded. Oh my God, I can't believe she's faded. I can't have it, you don't want it, I don't need it now, we're surrounded.
So all that's left is the ground from the pot lug to pot itself. A lot of diagrams call for bending it forward into the casing and soldering it together, but I don't really like that way because a lot of times you don't get direct contact. So usually what I do is just add a separate little wire. You have to watch your switches. Sometimes if you work too much on one switch, you get little dribbles of solder down in there that just kind of build up. I've replaced a lot of switches because of that. From my own fault of just gobbing on too much on one little switch area. I don't like how everything's kind of twisted around each other. It's not fun. I could have uncrossed these better. I don't like it when two wires cross. It's just organization. But for troubleshooting, this is fine. So while it was in its deconstructed phase, I found the problem, which was these wires connecting to the pickup only work in one orientation. So if it's this way up where you can see the metal contacts, that's the correct way. But I had one of them turned over like that, where it's just bare plastic, and it wasn't working. I didn't see anything in the documentation or wiring diagrams about that. So all along it's been wired up correctly, except for that wire was flipped over. Now just gotta put it back together and sound test it. Everything is back where it belongs. So let's give it a little test here. Cool. Just as it should be. So the client also requested a setup and everything cleaning. I did clean the fretboard and gave it a wipe down, but now I'm going to polish the frets because they're pretty tarnished. It's just a nice extra step. When the customer was dropping this off to get work done, he brought to my attention there is a problem with the way the nut is installed. So from straight on, you can see pretty obviously the low E slot is way over from the fretboard, and the high E slot is much closer to the edge of the fretboard. So the string is not getting enough room to play up there on the high E. So what he asked me to do is just cut a new slot a little bit, further in. It'll focus. So I will try that first before installing a new nut. Hopefully it's as simple as just filing a new slot in. We'll see. This is going to be kind of awkward to film, plus there's stuff going on in the house. You might hear some noise, but I'm just gonna go in, we'll try at least, with the saw and start a little line to follow. The tricky part is keeping it straight this way. It might be zoomed too far in. This is really dull, and it's really only good for starting a line. Let me get my file and work on that a little more. Okay, 10 gauge string. I just want to see how it fits compared to the original. Yeah, that's okay. The file is a 10 gauge file, and he wants 10 gauge string, so I'm actually gonna upsize it to like a 12. Or 13, which is what I got here. That just gives it some more room and avoids pinching. And also, I'm keeping it kind of tilted up, so you have a little bit of a ramp down. Hopefully that's all it needed. I did feel a lot of friction on the string. A little bit more. whatever material this is, it's very grabby on the file. It feels like some kind of plastic. Could be Graphtec, which is good. I do like Graphtec. Sonically, the best there is. It's kind of awkward to work with sometimes. That's better. I don't want to go any deeper, so I'm going to call it right there and string it up and just see how it plays. So this part of the neck is fixed. He didn't care about the little change to the string spacing. He asked me to cut the new slot closer, which is fine. But down here, it was still really way off. So all I did was the old trick my guitar teacher taught me 12 years ago. If your neck is kind of out of alignment, I mean, everybody who knows who has a bolt on probably knows this, but you just get it in somewhat playing position, and you just give it a yoink and pull up on the neck, and that fixed the problem down here. So the string spacing from the edge of the fretboard is pretty much equal now. There you go. So that's fine. I tightened the screws back. They were a little loose, holding the neck on. So that's fixed. The last thing to do is take a look at the action, which is really high. Whoever set this up last time maxed out the bridge saddles for some reason. I guess I'm about to find out. But yes, action. Okay, new problem. Either Fender used some really strange type of screw, because none of these fit. This is every little hex wrench I have in my drawer. None of them work. So either it's some kind of strange OEM thing I've never seen before, or the little screws are so rusted and corroded I can't get anything in there. So I will have to ask the customer what he wants me to do about that, because in its current state I can't adjust them. Strange, very strange. I haven't seen that before.